Again. Charlie Greer podcast. Again, I do it every day. Today, did Elvis fake his own death? Huh? What? See? Could be. If he did, would he still be alive? How old would he be? Shit. But yeah, there's this is an oldie. I mean, Elvis faking his own death. It was like they're even his own family. I think his name was Billy Smith. One of those cousins. Hey, look like a waxed dummy in there. He went. It was sweating and condensation on it. Shit, I don't know. They said he had a pig nose and laying there in the coffin. They were like, they thought it was a dummy. And there is some shady stuff behind Elvis. Colonel Tom Parker. And let's just start with him because that Fulio, his name was not Tom Parker. He wasn't a colonel. He was some dude from like Finland or Sweden wanted for murder, killing a woman, used a fake name. Like, how do people get away with something? I can't get away with anything, man. These dudes are killing people and changing their names, huh? What tells me he had help? He was, again, crazy people tend to hang out with other. Oh, he's a murderer. Well, I am too. Let's hang out. Shit. It almost seems like intelligence work too. Like, we need a guy like that who can not bat an eye about a fake name. Obviously, he's a killer, so he's an asset. And that's why Elvis never like toured in Europe. Dude, Elvis never went. He went to Hawaii. But he wouldn't. You'd think like, why didn't he go to Europe? Because Colonel Tom Parker couldn't go. He's probably going to be arrested. And why didn't anybody say anything? People knew this. The authorities knew this. Why would they not? And why would they need a Colonel Tom Parker? Like, how important was he, or how scary was he that he would? We're talking about agencies that can go after people. Like, why wouldn't they do anything unless they're getting paid off? Maybe there's a lot of Elvis money going. Let us dip our beak in that Elvis money, and we'll leave you alone, Ray. Well, is it kind of like that? I mean, that kind of blows my mind. Dude was, his real name was something funny too, like killed someone, a woman, ran, got on a ship, and then hide in plain sight. Colonel Tom Parker, Colonel, and he again, where do people go when they are hiding out? The carnival. There's a carny. That's what he was when Elvis. He wasn't a manager. He was a carny, man. And why would you click up with a Elvis saying? Why would he want a carnival barker to fucking run his life? Again, this is before Elvis was, this is before, or the secret kind of things, agencies, whatever they are, use carnivals as a cover. Like, yeah, people, let him run the two-headed monkey exhibit, and we'll, in reality, he's this is all through, people know about carny. Be careful around a carnival, or when carnival comes to town, do carnivals even go to town? Is that even a thing anymore? The traveling, carnies? I hope not. Granted, I love a good carnival, the smells and the sounds and this, that, and the other, but man, the people, what I know now, I'd be like, dude, that's shit. Ran by a bunch of killers with fake names. So yeah, Elvis's manager right off the bat there, Colonel Tom Parker, not a colonel, not named Tom or Park, and none of that. So he was okay. That's sketchy. And Elvis, like later on, after in the 70s, he was doing. For one, he loved law enforcement. He had he was deputized in every county in Tennessee. Like he just went places. Like, I want to be a deputy. And he would get, again, you're Elvis, you've done everything under the sun, you get bored. So he was deputized. He would like, you know what, this weekend I want to go to so-and-so and I'll do some sheriffing or deputy. And he did. He's pulled people over back in the day. Like, hey, another strange thing. Again, he got bored with life. You do everything. Can you imagine? he went and he was into like he wanted to embalm people like a what do you call it? He wanted to a coroner or whatever the hell like and he went like and I guess got his license, and sometimes he'd go in there and help with like autopsies. Like shit. Again, you go through. I mean, it takes all types of people. I mean, God bless coroners or whatever, or um, funeral home motherfucker, whatever they're called. Just would I mean, again, once you've had so many, let's be honest, orgies and stuff like Elvis's world. Like, can you imagine? Like he just got bored and want to do some normal stuff, you know. He'd done everything. He's like, oh, I'm gonna embalm somebody. That's just a little weird, I think, when you have like Elvis's money. But I guess if you ate all the food and done all the drugs, what are you gonna do? Another shady thing about Elvis, and this is referenced in it's a Manson book. It might be in the Nicholas Schreck Charles Manson book, but Charles Manson in the 50s. This is before late 50s, early 60s, like 10 years before the Manson murder, whatever. He was out. He was in L.A. Elvis, his mansion in Bel Air, whatever. They had like an illegal elite like poker game, right? You know, just for like people, you know, rich people from like who knows Saudi Arabia, and you know, elites and studio head, who, you know, an elite kind of. You're protected. You got the well. Who ran it for Elvis? Charles Manson. Huh? This is before. This is the short-haired Charles. He hung out with Elvis. Ran his illegal poker games. What? Manson did? I mean, shit. Again, this is hearsay. I'm asking questions. I mean, you know, maybe not. But supposedly they found some documents or somebody came forward. You know, there's a lot of stuff that probably will come out eventually. And at the time, Manson, this is back in the late 50s, early 60s, was running out of Hollywood. He had an apartment, but it was a modeling agency. That was like for call girl, you know, just and that's how he was in prison that last time before he got out for the murders. He was and something about Charles Manson, like who's Charles? Who was he? He was cellmates with Frank Costello. Huh? And Creepy Carpus. What? Creepy Carpus is the one that taught Charlie how to play guitar. Cellmates with Frank Costello. That you're not a normal person. You've got connection. You are, and again, Charles is really from Kentucky, bootlegging family. That's it. You know, feds, raiding his granddaddy. They were probably new mob people from Canada to Mexico, in between, everywhere. So not to get off subject, but that's what I'm setting this up. Like Elvis had some, you know, he again, king of rock and roll. Maybe when you get to that level, it's just so corrupt and crooked. Maybe he was just lower level, just okay. I got to go. I just shit. Can't get away from him. You know, while in Rome. Shit. And would you need money to? Because again, why would you have an illegal poker game in your mansion? You do that for money. You don't do that because you want to socialize and meet other people. Come on, man. Would Elvis need money? That's another thing. I mean, his deal with Colonel Tom Parker, and this is record, was 50-50. I don't think anybody manager gets that. I mean, nowadays they probably take it all, but I mean, that's a lot of. And supposedly, like Colonel Tom Parker, like died without any money. Where did all that Elvis money go? I mean, how much did you gamble? Because you know, Colonel Tom Parker was a gambler. But later on in Elvis's life, you know, in the mid-set, you know, he had to start touring again. You know, like I need money. Where's all this money going? Why are they touring you like a rented mule? You know, just go. Maybe he knew. Maybe he was like, say if he's like, man, I want to get out of this life. Like I just need to. Let's just say, this is speculate. You know, that he did. Gonna fake his own death, kind of thing. So, would you start planning? You know, would you want to? Because then, like in 70, early, right before he died, like 3 to 4 years before he died, there was a probe, like an FBI probe, about Elvis was being extorted. Of course, when you're in that level, it's gonna happen, man. Any kind of, if you're famous or rich or whatever, here comes these people that are extortionists, and they have lawyers, and it's complicated. It's a long burn too. It might not be a quick, give me your money or I'm gonna no. There's something about one of his jets, like he owned like all these planes Elvis did, and he had rented it to a dude, somebody pro. His last name was Pro. Anyway, he was shaking him down or something like that. So the FBI, supposedly his one of his band members for a while was an FBI dude, in the band, Elvis's band, and Elvis flew to Washington D.C. and met with J. Edgar Hoover around this time, and he got an FBI badge. Like he had, they thought it was all ceremonial, whatever. Well, maybe it wasn't. I'm just speculating, but it's like, was he? And he wrote a letter to Nixon. Nixon was the one that deputized him in the FBI or whatever. And Nixon, and then J. Edgar Hoover, whatever. This letter, he says he's wanting to. I know things. America's went bad behind his. I'm scared that America is going to be taken over by these corrupt people. Maybe he did feel a need to, like, look, I need to do something. I need to fake my own death. So maybe he did. Maybe he was. I mean, you would have to again. There are agencies that, like, say, the Witness Protection Program. That's what it's called, witness protection. You testify and put people away. They change your name, give you a new social security number, plastic surgery, depending on how much they want you. And that's the thing. There's also one for famous people, but it ain't called Witness Protection Program. I don't know what it is, but I know that lawyers discovered this back in the maybe in the 80s but it never was like, oh well. And something about like the some lawyer got a hold, like sued and got Elvis's like tissue samples from his autopsy, then also sued and got tissue samples from some kind of biopsy he did years before, and they don't match. It didn't match Elvis's. So they're, made a mistake. We got, maybe somebody was hung over that day and just, mix some samples. And that's kind of fishy. The one thing, though, that's the fishiest aspect of Elvis's faking his own death was like right before it happened. I don't know if it was a month, a couple weeks, whatever. Colonel Tom Parker contacted every record pressing plant, and basically all of them in America were just to press Elvis albums. And they were like, well, what do you mean? Elvis albums don't sell. I mean, they do, but not like, you don't need, no, just, I mean, he spent more money just to, like, shut down for what, just to press Elvis shit. Like, to have all this merch and stuff. It's just like the warehouse is full. Like, why would you need this? If someone died, you're going to need all that. Then all that shit will sell. And, it's like, why would he want to press every, can you imagine all these press, this Elvis. There's a lot of Elvis albums and compilations, and that happened. That's a fact that they put in Elvis. And again, even a top band wouldn't need all, like, there's three major at the time, like these big plants that just press CDs and tapes, or records and tapes, whatever it was, 8-track, who knows? Just Elvis, boom, boom, boom. Stop production on other for like a couple of weeks just to get, that tells me that that's suspicious. And then when Elvis died, Colonel Tom Parker, like it was like a carnival atmosphere. Like at his funeral, he's selling fucking balloons for $1, and even the family was like, "What the hell are you doing, man?" Like, people maybe not in the know were all like, "Oh, Elvis, you're dead," and everybody else is like, "Elvis, money," who cares? I mean, shit. Something's afoot, And Elvis had aliases that he, There's government documents on Elvis. So say if he faked his death, he probably wouldn't be alive. I mean, he'd be 90 or 100 now. I mean, and then of course there's all these sightings. They saw, oh, he lives in Michigan. He goes to the Kentucky Fried Chicken every Tuesday. Pictures, some of the, again, I'm just asking. I don't know. He could have, maybe he didn't. But there's some strange shit. So the album pressing is kind of suspicious, and there's another thing that's really suspicious is some of these life insurance policies that Elvis had. Can you imagine the life insurance? I mean, they had him he's Elvis. If he dies, he's not our money maker. That's what celebrities do, and that's what rich people do. And then you can collect on them once someone's dead, or if you've paid in enough, you can get the, So there's some big life insurance policies to this day haven't been collected on. It's just sitting there getting interest, like his family went, oh no. Now, why is that important? Why would that be important? Because if you cash in that stuff and he did fake his, then that's a crime. I think faking your death's a crime too, but that is fraud. It's sitting there, that money. And we're talking about millions. There's no telling what. That's the ones we know about. Because record labels will put a management company, everything will, you'll be insured like you'd not believe. Just so something happens, they know people have, like, dancers have insured their legs, and you can damn near insure anything. So that's weird to print all those albums right before he died. And of course, they're ready to go the days that, and then these insurance policies that are not cashed in on. That's suspicious. Because why would you not take that money? You think, well, Elvis got all this money. Maybe they're getting to it. Hell, it's been, how many years has it been since he's dead? About 40, 50. I mean, shit. Huh? Something's afoot. Something ain't, maybe it's sloppy management. Maybe Colonel Tom Parker just, something's not right. And also, I think, like, some of these planes, going back to the planes, he had all these planes. Some of them were, like, missing. Like, where's a plane go? Where are you going to hide a plane? What, are you so rich? He's got, well, I got all those airplane hangars in my yard, in my back, my land. Just put it one of those. Like, we'll hide it for a while. Put big tarp over it. Or it's a plane. Planes have, like, numbers on it, and then they, they're machines in there, like the radar, that they know exactly who's in the air. Oh, it's number registered to. So even if you try to fly it out, I mean, or what are you going to do? Like ghetto style, dismantle it and ding, 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 just like sell it for parts. I mean, it's a strange, mysterious world, people. And also, man, he was doing a lot. He was bad off at the end. He was the amount of prescription drugs they prescribed to him that last bit, just a pile, like a huge, like, how could you even? Or was that a cover? Was that like, hey man, all right, so this last year before we do this, we got to swell you up a bit. We got to, it's going to be, we might not like what we want you to do, but to save you and your family, whatever, we got to make it look like, perhaps, maybe, or maybe he did die. Maybe he's just, oh shit. Maybe, what was he, 40? But then, and that's in Elvis years. In regular people, that's like 240. I mean, Elvis, 40 years living like Elvis, traveling around and all the shit. That's a lot of living in 40 years. Believe me, Elvis is the experiences that Elvis had. Can you even imagine? No, because I can't even wrap my head around. Well, let's see, everything I see I can buy, and every experience I can do, and I can get away with it. I mean, shit. Maybe he was just bored with life. He never really had he was just like, you know what? I just need to. Maybe he did move to Michigan and just kind of And there's all these, dude, you go down that rabbit hole, people like, well, he's a preacher now, so and he sings just like Elvis. And it's, come on. I mean, I get that. There's a bunch of bullshit. But outside of St. Louis in the 90s, it was called the Elvis is Alive Museum. It was like in, like right outside of St. Louis. Bill Beanie was the guy's name. And I think he tried to dress like Elvis. And it was a small little cafe. It was kind of cool. They had a wax dummy in there that looked nothing like Elvis. And I shot a documentary there. It's never been edited. I shot like on a VHS camera, you know. And I interviewed dude. And he was his son was a lawyer, and he also was rich. He had like car dealerships and stuff. And he was the one that told me a lot about these lawyers, and they sued, and they got all this stuff and nothing. Strange stuff. And he was telling me about like there's a girl out there who claimed to be his daughter, and it was like, oh, she's full of shit, whatever. And somehow she sued or whatever, and she's got Elvis's DNA. Of course, the family won't, you know, no. I mean, this is Bill Beanie, the guy telling me this, but he was for sure that Elvis was alive, and they claimed, I'm not talking out of school, I heard this from the horse's mouth, him and his wife were like, he called twice. He has called this Elvis is Alive Museum twice over the years. What the fuck did he say? You know, well, he kept it short and he's like, thank you. And it just kind of, man, that's some bullshit. You know, like he was just like, no, I'm telling you, I'm dead serious. And at the time, outside of the Elvis is Alive Museum cafe, whatever it was, because it was small, he had one of Elvis's old cars. Because when Elvis was hot, but you know, he was Elvis, he had these, what was it, like a Cadillac, but it was custom. So it was only a 2-door, but it was as long as a stretch limb. I mean, you had to pull up the seat and go back, and it was awesome back there. And by then, it was been sitting there, and you know, tires are kind of going flat. And I was like, "How did you get this Elvis mobile?" And he's like, "Well, look, Elvis would have a car, one of his cars. That's how many cars he would in every town that he toured it. Like he had them all in every city that they toured. He wanted one of these customized Cadillac. You know, when he's in there, he could store it somewhere." And after Elvis died, he bought this from like the St. Louis airport or somewhere where they stored these cars. He bought Elvis's Cadillac. He let me in there and sit. Like, dude, it was awesome. Big. I tried to buy it from him. I want to buy it. I'll never sell it. And I'm sure Bill, I don't know if he's around. I mean, you know, he was an older man at the time. And he was cool. He didn't charge me any money. I got to find that footage and somehow put that together. There's a few things I did the Elvis Alive Museum. I also did the Beatle House in Illinois when George's sister lived in Illinois when the Beatlemania started in like '64 or whatever. And they built her a little radio station in the house, and she could broadcast and they came and stayed at this house. And I shot a documentary. I had an interview with the mayor, this, that, and the other. Louise Harrison, George's sister. I knew her. She was cool. Then all of a sudden, they're like, no, you cannot, you better not release that. You can't do nothing. And I've sat on it all these years. It's pretty awesome. Because later on, I kept filming, and we went with the locals to this like bar, like this old bar, and we were drinking, and we had a van at the time that had like a table and chairs, and even had a bed in it. We weren't in the bed, just sitting there drinking with people. And I couldn't use that footage, but great day. And also this town, was it Benton, Illinois? I think it is. This little town, but it's got this history of like, okay, George Harrison's sister lived there. John Malkovich is also from there. And so's, what's her name? Bo Derek. Like, what is this town? Like a small, have all this, I don't know. But the point I'm trying to make, I got off though, but there, the Bill Beanie, the Elvis is Alive Museum, he was dead serious about like, man, in fact, I got on camera. He gets mad at me because I kind of snicker, and he just like, well, huh? Maybe I should have been talking to you. And he did. He cut the He was cool, but and again, I apologized. Pardon me. Sorry, Bill. I didn't mean to, And I went there twice. I shot twice, and like I would go there after I shot. I remember the last time I went with a friend. They weren't too happy with me. They were like, I was like, hey, when I walked in, because before, man, they're like feeding me food. We're hanging out all day, filming this, that, the other. I met his kids. I mean, after that, his wife did. No, she would come out like, yeah, and I just kind of didn't stay long. Um, and he used to sell these documents that were like he had sued for, and he just printed them out and stapled them together, and like he had a bunch of them, and they're about all kinds of crazy shit that Elvis had done, or FBI files that they had, and I have them somewhere in storage if my storage hadn't been robbed. But I think something's up with the Elvis. There's documents now that they've released that uh, the mob. You see, Elvis was doing a lot of Vegas. That's, I mean, how he damn didn't build, but Elvis was shit until Elvis and Liberace made more money in Vegas and I think it's Paul Castellano, one of those big time, bosses, knew it was bullshit and like contacted Colonel Tom Parker and was like, look, man, you think you could fool us? Like these came out, like these I don't know if it was like a phone call they tapped or, but he was like, no, dude, this nothing's changed. You still have to. I guess they were, again. This could be speculation, but shit. Why would these documents come out and say? Why would Colonel Tom Parker be so scared? Because that was the day he died. He was supposed to start a tour, and that's a lot of money, Paul Castellano. They knew it was fake. He can't fool us, And the mob might know. I mean, that you wouldn't want to piss off the mob. And then like maybe late '90s, whenever it was, mid '90s, whatever. Colonel Tom Parker had like a management company and like a small label, like near where my mom was, for like Mount Juliet, Tennessee, like somewhere outside of Nashville. And I don't know. I think I wrote them, or I got some kind of a letter from them. And they're explaining like, oh, this is kind of we don't do much anymore, Colonel Tom. I was like talking to his assistant through like letters. And maybe that's when I was trying to figure out, it was just a lot when I was maybe in the mid '90s, but they actually replied back to me. And then I saw it was again, you would think he'd have like a big old like building, and no, he had this small, looked like a house, like running it out of a house. Like what happened to him? Where'd all that money go? And I'm talking about Colonel Tom Parker. Wouldn't you have saved a couple million, a couple hundred million? You know how much money Elvis made? Do you have enough time in the day to spend all that money? Unless you're buying jets every day or so. I don't know. And what bank? I mean, how many banks would you need to? Something's not right. Let's say even if he did die naturally or whatever, he had a heart attack in the bathroom. Elvis, I'm talking about. Did he? But by then, was it all just a mess with Colonel Tom, but some criminal running his business? Elvis knew that wasn't his real name, or maybe he didn't. Maybe that's how cunning and Colonel Tom was. It's like nobody can know about me living in Finland, killing that woman. Or was he like intelligence? That's what they do. See, it's weird, especially when you get in that spy game and whatever the hell. And again, I don't know much about it. It ain't like I have any personal knowledge. Just shit I've read and my curious mind, and that's what you would do. You would make, oh, that guy, he works at the carnival, when he's actually like a high level, shit. Could be. I know that's how they do shit like that. dress like a fucking homeless person, and then you're really like a, intelligence wizard, know how to like manipulate countries and their intelligence game. And then there's a term called sheep dip. It's an intelligence term where these intelligence agencies grab you, they sheep dip you. You don't even know what you are. Am I a spy, double spy? Am I this, that? You don't even know. You done been sheep dipped. Look, Google sheep dip. That's a thing. Hell, that's old hat, man. That supposedly Oswald was sheep dipped. I don't know who I am. Was there multiple Elvis? Who knows? I'm sure he had doubles. I mean, you send one guy looking like him and then go back to the back door and just to get away from screaming fans wanting to rip your ears off and stuff. I love you, Elvis. Like, tearing you to shreds. Comment below. Tell me what you think. I love Elvis. I should have said this. I love Elvis. I've got 2 Elvis tattoos, man. Yeah, that's how dumb I love me some Elvis. And he's Scottish. I'm Scottish too. I mean, my grandparents loved it. They had Elvis license plates. That's all matter of fact, that's all besides gospel. Elvis. They loved Elvis. Me too. Little sister, come on. I don't trust people that don't like Elvis, man. All right, man. I love y'all. Again, I do this every day. I'm gonna be doing this every day. Chain smoking, rant like a madman, drinking strong coffee. I know how this looks, but it'll get better. I promise. Love you. Be blessed. See you tomorrow. Cheers.